Next division, where do you want to go, John?
We're going to go to the AFC North, and there's our friends, the Ravens. They're playing tonight.
Quote the Ravens, nevermore. All right. Let's talk about the North. This might be the best division in the NFL. Ravens, Lamar Jackson. Now, granted, they shuffled running backs out the door. Their history in Baltimore is get rid of players a year too early, then keep them a year too late and kill yourself with the salary cap. They added Derrick Henry. That's heavy duty. That's a star from the Tennessee Titans. That's 8,000 yards worth of running back who's going to line up behind Lamar Jackson this first game of the season. They got 3 young wide receivers. They got really quality tight end Mark Andrews, who's now back after a season of injuries. I think the only burning question, they've had so many injuries in the secondary, led by just problem after problem with Marlon Humphrey, who might be as good a DB as there is in the league. Those guys are all back healthy. Can they stay healthy? That remains to be seen, but I got Baltimore as the team to beat. Cleveland doesn't have a logo on their helmet. Their helmet is all orange. You ought to put a question mark there. The Browns, awful lot of money tied up in Deshaun Watson. This is not the Deshaun Watson we saw as a star in Houston before he got himself in all kinds of trouble, and then before he suffered the really bad shoulder injury. And he did not play in any preseason games, and they've had to baby him through because of soreness in the shoulder. That's item 1. Item 2, they don't have their heavy-duty running back, Nick Chubb. You know, he's had 2 torn knee ligaments, and he is rehabbed nonstop, and he's still not ready. He's on the 4-week PUP. So now you're down your star quarterback, or your star quarterback's yet to prove he's 100%, and you're down your top running back. Do have Amari Cooper, no doubt about that. Veteran offensive line, but their bookend tackles have had a lot of injury problems, led by Jed Wills from Alabama. He just can't stay on the field. He missed all of preseason. He's now been activated. I don't know how many snaps he'll take in the first game before he gets hurt again, because those guys are always hurt. And they've got a vibrant defense led by Myles Garrett, but a lot of injuries on the back end. Their top defensive back is Denzel Ward, Ohio State star. He's had 5 different head injuries over the course of his career. Now, he's cleared to play, but he seems to be, to me, he seems to be concussion prone. So the Browns, dog pound, they got a question mark. Cincinnati's got greatness at quarterback. There's no doubt about that in Joe Burrow. Cincinnati does not have a good organization around that quarterback. And he gets hurt every year because he takes so many shots. And now you got the Bengals with Jamar Chase, who's in the midst of this contract spitting contest. And they got a really unhappy second wide receiver in T. Higgins. They let Tyler Boyd go. They got injuries at tight end. I don't like very much anything about their offensive front. And they ran Joe Mixon, their heavy-duty back, out the door, released him. So it's Joe Burrow against the world. And I'm not sure their defense is real good. And their defense wasn't good last year as they fell apart after Burrows got hurt. This is not a Joe Burrows problem. This is a Mike Brown organizational problem. It just goes on and on and on. And that's a quarterback getting his brains beat out. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season in 17 years. This might be the first time. But you know what? If you look at the track record of Mike Tomlin, even towards the tail end of the Roethlisberger era when he was on gas fumes and they weren't playing well and turning the ball over, as a team, they got progressively better and better as the season wore on. Same thing last year. He coaches them up and gets them better as the season wears on. Now, he's renting 2 one-year quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. I don't know how much gas Wilson's got left. Fields is highly, wildly erratic. They've spent the entire offseason in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, working on footwork to try to get him to be a good pocket passer rather than a scramble on the mode passer. They don't want to change their offense for him. I just don't know that Pittsburgh's got enough weapons on offense, and they got uncertainty, obviously, at the wide receiver and quarterback position. No doubt, though, they got defense. My God, they got defense. And they play so hard. T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward and all those guys. Going to be interesting. They're going to force feed their kids. They drafted 3 offensive linemen. 2 of them, I think, are going to start this weekend for the Steelers in their first game. But they got uncertainty at quarterback. I don't know what to make of Russell Wilson. He looks like a really old quarterback now, like a guy that woke up all of a sudden he's 36. And Justin Fields, as dynamic as an athlete as he is, He's just so wildly erratic, overthrowing people, making decisions, or running with the football way too much, which leads to him getting hurt. So there's a lot of uncertainty in Pittsburgh, but they do have Mike Tomlin. They'll probably coach him up. But I'll tell you, it's a tough-ass physical division. John Riley, do you want to walk into a dark alley with anybody in the AFC North?
It's like a black and blue division.
Exactly.
If Chris Berman were here. I mean, I'm just looking at these teams, and it seems like every year they're always talking about the Ravens are going to finally do it. And yeah, sure, they'll win the division, but they always end up getting knocked out in the playoffs. So I'm just kind of wondering if this is their year. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think that there's also kind of an undercurrent rumor that as great as they are during the season and dynamic as Lamar Jackson is, when you need to be a complete quarterback and make the right decision in playoffs, doesn't happen for him. Either turnovers or sacks. He just doesn't complete the deal. So I think organizationally, that's a fine team in terms of player acquisitions. And they do hit the eject button on players a lot. Get the guy out a year early, go replace him with young guys. They draft really well. But I don't know if Jackson is the complete superstar that you think of. He's great. What an unbelievable athlete. Yeah. But at the end of the season, the most important time of the season when you're playing the best teams, you got to be able to play and not fumble the football or not throw interceptions. And I think the jury's still, to me, it's a little bit out on Lamar Jackson. Does that make sense to you? And what do you think about the trouble in Cleveland and what the Bengals have become?
Well, I mean, just one last thing on Lamar. It's, now that it's the season, 17 games. That's why I asked you who the backup quarterback was with the Jets, because you're seeing this in other sports where the stars will kind of sit out a little bit during the middle of the year to try to be fresh at the end of the season. So it makes me wonder who the backup quarterbacks are for each of these teams.
Tyler Huntley in Baltimore, and he just went back there.
Okay. All right. So that works. But the other teams, I love Joe Burrow. I love all the swag. I love the cigars when he wins. I love everything about that guy. And when he went down with the injury, I felt bad for him. So I'm hoping he has a bounce back here. And I'm rooting for the Steelers. I mean, I would like to see, one of these two quarterbacks, either Fields or Wilson, sort of resurrect their career and maybe impress us. Cleveland, I'm not sure what to make of that. So, I like your call with the Ravens at the top, but I like to see the Bengals competitive.
It's going to be interesting. I don't think Burrow can be competitive because I don't think he has people around him. Hey, you follow the Ravens. If you're a Browns fan who got deported from Cleveland, anybody agree with me on Cincinnati? I know there's transplanted Steeler fans drinking Iron City beer this afternoon. Jump on board. Fans forum chat box is open. Want to hear what you've got to say about the AFC North race. Next one.